Hello, all my Kenvians. I just got finished watching Avengers Infinity War. There's so much I'm trying to process right now. And I apologize if my camera keeps going out of focus. I'm trying to get used to this phone still, but I'm going to try and give my thoughts as best as I can without giving any spoilers. I will say this. Those of you that saw my kind of sort of review for Black Panther, it wasn't even really a review, it was me just gushing over it. But in my opinion, Black Panther is still my favorite Marvel movie. That being said, this is easily the best Avengers movie, and by that I mean, of the Avengers movie, there was the first one, Avengers, or Avengers Assemble, I guess in some areas. Avengers, Rise of Ultron, I think it was. Ultron, anyway, the one with Ultron. And then this one. This is by far the best of those. This is by far the best that any of the movies has been at juggling the multiple personalities of the different characters. And they had a huge task ahead of them in bringing together not only the Avengers that we've had, in your typical movies, but also Thor, who has had his own adventures outside. And, Thor is mostly just kind of there for the other Avengers films. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I feel like for the most part, the people behind this movie did a really good job of balancing the tone of each of those different groups and bringing them together. I honestly do feel like they did a really good job of that. But in that, I feel like that's also probably the movie's biggest downfall, which is what I said in a little live stream I did before going in to see this movie, which was the reason why I prefer some of the solo movies, such as Captain America, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, obviously, is because they have one tone to focus on. They have one story to focus on. And while, yes, they did do a good job, in my opinion, of bringing these different groups of people together and managing to balance the different tones, there were definitely times where, I don't know, in Guardians of the Galaxy, there would be humor in sort of dark moments, but it didn't feel out of place. But somehow there were certain points in this movie where there would be humor or the characters talking to each other that just really felt out of place. Even more so than, some of the quips that were thrown in the earlier Avengers movies, which is weird to say. So yeah, the biggest downfall is also its best strength. Well, no. Its biggest downfall comes from its biggest strength, which is doing their best to juggle all of these all of these different personalities, all of these different tones that came from the different movies as of late. And while they did a good job, it made the movie a bit off at moments. Like, I won't reveal who it is, but if you've seen any of the trailers, you know that at one point there is a big battle. During that battle, there's, I would say, a few scenes where there's clearly still fighting going on, but a few of the characters are stopping mid-battle and just kind of having some back and forth when there's clearly still fighting going on very close to them. And I don't know, it seemed so out of place. It seemed stilted, maybe is the right word. It didn't flow right, in my opinion. So yeah, just some of those issues. Oh, and I unfortunately do think that this is going to be one of those movies where some of the CGI in the future, not necessarily now, but in the future, is going to be a bit dated, because there's definitely a handful of scenes where the graphics, it's clear that everything is computer generated. And in that I mean, obviously, if they're on, different locations and things are floating, a lot of stuff's going to be computer generated. But I mean, like, where stuff is kind of clearly generated, almost like a few things weren't quite finished, maybe, or things were left a little bit too smooth, or maybe it's an artistic choice. It's hard for me to say. But while it's not a huge deal right now, and maybe it stood out more because I saw a 3D showing, just some of the CGI in certain scenes, just, it's not going to date well, in my opinion. But that being said, overall, this was a phenomenal movie from Marvel Studios. And honestly, from here, I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't know how they're going to do it. There's one thing I want to say, but I feel like it would be a spoiler for the movie overall. This is definitely a movie I'm going to have to either do another video or maybe do a podcast discussing just the different aspects of this movie and where I think they are or aren't going to be able to go from here. Some theories as to what might have been going on. But let me just say this. There were some characters that I wasn't fully attached to. Like, I just didn't have as big of a connection to them as a fan, as a viewer. But there are things that happen to basically all of the characters throughout this movie, Thanos included, that took me by surprise. That just huge gut punches, beyond gut punches in many ways. And one of the final sequences, I'm not gonna lie, it brought me to tears. I wasn't expecting it at all. It brought me to tears, and just the rest of that sequence of what was going on, just, I was wide-eyed and, like, actually having to catch myself, having to remember to breathe, just because I was so astounded at what was going on. So, do I recommend this movie? Yes, I do. I would definitely recommend seeing all of the recent movies from Marvel to make sure you know what all's going on. Otherwise, certain things will leave you a bit flabbergasted, to say the least. But yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. But people who have read the comics and know who Thanos is, you pretty much already know how this movie's going to end. I'll just leave it at that. Well, actually, no. Actually, you don't know exactly how this movie's going to end, but you're going to have an idea. Yeah, I have so many thoughts, so much to process about this movie. And I would say definitely be expecting a spoiler cast or a spoiler stream, something, just so I can get my thoughts out about this, because oh my god. Oh my god. So yeah, if you are a Marvel fan, go see this movie and hold on tight, because you are in for an emotional roller coaster and one hell of a ride. So that's it for now, everyone. I'm PapaKenn. If you have seen this movie already, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, which means those of you that haven't seen it yet. First of all, I guess you would be watching this to figure out whether or not I liked it. But don't go to the comments down below if you haven't seen the movie yet. But until next time, everyone, I'm PapaKenn, and I will see you in the next review.